Okay, I wanted to make this video to explore a couple topics with the same conclusion. Lorne is an honest person, number one, and how is Lorne able to cope so well being a loser, number two. In the Lorneography, Lorne is forthcoming to Kayla about no bed, sleeping on the floor. He tells her he quit his job with no other job lined up. Okay, so I think your average honest person when dating won't divulge certain information. For example, if you're on a dating site with a profile, typically you want to put your best foot forward. Maybe you have some family dysfunction, or you might be unhappy with your job, but you won't divulge that type of information. You're not trying to lie or be deceiving, you're just trying to make a good impression. When reading the Lorneography, Lorne comes across as an honest person, which in some aspects, was strange contrast to the disgusting conversation he had with an underage girl. This brings me to the second part of the discussion. How was Lorne able to sleep on the floor, walk away from jobs, eat bologna sandwiches, and last but not least, try to seduce a 13-year-old girl without feeling like a loser? If Lorne had any moral compass, he would have never engaged in a conversation with Kayla to begin with. But let's just say Lorne is in a really bad place. He's drinking heavily. He wakes up with a hangover the next morning after the first conversation with Kayla, and he would have said, oh shit, like what did I do last night? Maybe he apologizes to her, or maybe deletes her profile. But no, not one time does he show any sense of guilt or shame for his conversations with her. It's always about Mr. Penis. Not only does Lorne accept being a loser, he seems to embrace it. He feeds and thrives off of being a victim. I believe Lorne developed a victim mentality at a young age. I think Nathaniel Trevor's book, Lorne, depicts this theory very well. Lorne was a very emotional kid who would cry very easily. He received attention from his mother when his siblings would pick on him, and he would come crying to her. If Lorne got an F on a test or a report card, he would cry to his mom and manipulate her into feeling sorry for him. He would relieve any responsibility of himself for failing. He would convince his mom his siblings picked on him and bugged him so he couldn't study. He would say his teacher doesn't like him and didn't give him a fair chance. When faced with failure, Lorne will always feel sorry for himself and would not ever be disappointed in himself. This is a personal story I want to share. When I was in college, I worked almost full-time and carried 18 units a semester, but I was able to live in a nice apartment with the necessary furniture, bed, couch, TV, whatever. And I wasn't eating steaks every night, but I did better than bologna sandwiches. My last semester, I had to do an internship, so I ended up having to cut a lot of hours with my work. I struggled very much that semester, where it was difficult sometimes to even pay my bills. Even though I was working hard, I still had that gut-wrenching feeling of failure and being a loser. It was a feeling I never wanted to feel again. Lorne lacks this very important survival mechanism. Once again, I ask, how was Lorne able to sleep on the floor, eat bologna sandwiches, quit his job, and try to seduce a 13-year-old girl without feeling like a loser? Because Lorne developed a victim mentality where he is able to never have to hold himself accountable for anything. I believe when Lorne laid down every night on the floor with Bud, it would play very well into his victim mentality. So back to why he would sound like he was being honest with Kayla. You can compare it to when first dating someone and you show off a picture of you with a new car to impress the person. Lorne believed Kayla saw him as a sweet, honest guy who is kind of down on his luck. She would view her sweet boyfriend sleeping on the floor with his cute dog Bud every night. How sweet, right? I believe Lorne at some point became content in prison. He had 3 meals a day and a bed. Prison became a manipulation for him, which he enjoys. Manipulating guards, the psych department, cellmates, and he never had to spend one day with any guilt or shame out of the 5 or 6 years he was in prison. He was able to feel sorry for himself every day for being there and plot his revenge with NBC. Once again, Mommy Armstrong believes in her son and supports him. The theory that Lorne broke down crying the night of the arrest because he came to the harsh conclusion his life was one big failure, I believe is off. This would mean Lorne took responsibility for his actions for the first time in his life and felt shame or guilt for the first time in his life. If this was true, Lorne would not be suing NBC and would show some essence of remorse, which is at no point in his appeals and lawsuits do we see that. Okay, so that is all I have, and thank you for listening.